Welcome to today's deep dive. We are jumping right into something that I think is going to, well, fundamentally shift how you view your business.
Yeah, it's a completely different perspective.
It really is. And I want to start by speaking directly to you, the listener. We know exactly who you are. You're an ambitious aesthetic medicine doctor, or maybe you're a luxury clinic owner managing a team of practitioners.
Right, someone who isn't just trying to run a locally profitable clinic that, just pays the bills.
Exactly. You're here because you want to build a premium, completely dominant beauty brand. You want to be the name that everyone talks about at dinner parties. And the mission of this deep dive is to give you the exact blueprint to do that.
And specifically, by helping you design and offer the smoothest possible experience throughout your entire customer journey.
Yes, the entire journey. And the foundation for our deep dive today comes from a truly brilliant source. We are pulling directly from a masterclass created by Dr. Ari Masudi.
His background is what makes his perspective so unique here.
Right, he's a former researcher in regenerative medicine, right?
He is, yeah. And he took that rigorous, highly analytical mindset, the kind of thinking that looks for root causes rather than just surface symptoms, and he transitioned into becoming a highly sought-after business consultant for the beauty industry.
Which brings us to the core premise of his masterclass. It focuses on one pretty jarring truth about why clinics fail to stand out, despite putting in just an incredible amount of effort.
Yeah, and that jarring truth is that most beauty clinics are frankly focused on the exact wrong things.
You probably see it every day in your local market. Clinics are out there buying the absolute newest, most expensive laser machines.
Oh, constantly.
Right. And they're traveling across the country to take endless advanced training courses on injection techniques. They're obsessively posting flawless, beautifully lit before and after photos on their social media.
Right, and yet after all of that massive financial and temporal investment, they are still losing patients to competitors who are honestly less skilled.
It's wild, but why does that happen?
Well, it's a harsh reality for highly trained medical professionals to accept. But from the clinic's perspective, the focus is entirely on clinical excellence. You want to be the best doctor. But from the patient's perspective, they simply do not have the medical background to accurately judge your clinical skill.
That makes sense. I mean, a patient cannot easily tell which doctor is technically better with a cannula.
Exactly, or who understands facial anatomy on a deeper level. What they can judge, and what they absolutely do judge, is how they felt during the entire process. They evaluate you from the very first moment they try to find your clinic online, all the way to how they feel a week after they leave your office.
Okay, let's unpack this, because Dr. Masudi calls this out as Principle 1. Small annoyances add up.
They really do. The friction penalty here is massive.
Every little hassle you give your patient is quietly costing you more than you realize. It makes me think of buying a luxury car. Imagine you walk into a high-end dealership. The floors are sparkling, the cars are gorgeous, but when you go to buy, they hand you a cheap plastic pen and a clipboard and make you write out your home address 3 different times on 3 different forms.
The illusion of luxury vanishes instantly.
Oof, gone.
It's a brilliant analogy, and it happens in aesthetic clients all the time. You have a beautiful velvet sofa in your waiting room, but your digital intake form crashes on a mobile phone.
Yes. Or a patient walks in and has to repeat everything they already typed into the online booking system because the software didn't sync with the paper records.
Or they're just waiting and waiting for someone to email them back with basic parking information. When you experience that frustration in any other industry, your immediate thought is to take your business elsewhere.
Your patients feel exactly the same way. Every single unclear instruction you hand them, every extra step they didn't anticipate, these things stack up like bricks.
Which brings us to perhaps the most critical quote from the entire source material. Dr. Masudi states, "The best patient retention tool you have is not your injection technique. It is making every step of the experience simple and clear."
Wow, that is a total paradigm shift. The best retention tool is not the clinical.
What's fascinating here is how this exposes the massive gap between a clinic's marketing and its reality. You can run Instagram ads all day claiming that your brand is premium and caring. But if the actual booking process is a headache, patients simply won't believe the marketing.
They trust their own lived experience.
Exactly. Admin tasks are actually part of the medical service. We have to start viewing the instructions given before a treatment, the text messages sent afterward, and the way the receptionist answers the phone as core components of the care you provide.
So we need some actionable advice to fix this. And the source material provides a great challenge for you, the listener, to try this week. I want you to physically watch someone, maybe a friend or a family member who isn't familiar with your your systems at all. Try to book an appointment at your clinic without your help.
That is such a revealing exercise.
Just stand behind them and watch. Where do they slow down? Where do they squint at the screen or look confused? That hesitation is your friction. Furthermore, read through your pre-treatment and aftercare instructions. If a patient reads them and is left with even a single lingering question, you need to rewrite those instructions immediately.
It is entirely about removing the mental load from the patient. When a clinic successfully strips away all those small annoyances, patients start describing the clinic using words like easy, reassuring, and I just felt looked after.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because making things easy doesn't just apply to fixing clunky websites and intake forms. It applies directly to how we present our actual treatments.
Yes, principle 2, guide, don't overwhelm.
Right. There is a very common trap that premium clinics fall into. They present a massive menu of treatments to the patient, thinking that giving them all these options makes the patient feel informed and respected.
And it backfires.
But wait, let me play devil's advocate here for a second.
Yeah.
Don't patients today come in armed with hours of TikTok and Instagram research? They already know exactly which brand of filler they want and what trending procedure they are looking for. Doesn't limiting their options make them feel like we're ignoring their research?
That is the exact trap most doctors fall into. Because medical training emphasizes informed consent and differential diagnoses, doctors naturally want to lay out all the options. But handing a patient a menu of 6 different treatments at 3 different price levels does not empower them.
It doesn't.
No, it actually triggers decision fatigue and deep anxiety.
Yeah.
Patients do not come to a premium aesthetic clinic to do the deciding themselves. They are paying for an expert opinion.
So even with all their internet research, they're still looking to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. When they are sitting in that consultation chair, they are feeling incredibly vulnerable. If you just lay out a bunch of options and ask, so which one do you want to do? It doesn't sound like you're giving them agency. It sounds like a salesperson who doesn't want to commit to a firm answer, or worse, a doctor who isn't confident in their own assessment.
That makes so much sense. They want you to take the reins. They want to borrow your confidence. So Dr. Masudi gives us the exact winning script to use instead. The clinics that consistently convert inquiries into actual bookings are the ones that use this specific phrasing.
And this is word for word.
Quote, based on what you've described and what I can see, I recommend X because it directly addresses Y.
Let's break down why that phrasing is so incredibly powerful. Based on what you've described, validates the patient's concerns and shows you actively listened.
Right.
And what I can see asserts your clinical authority and expertise. I recommend X because it addresses Y, creates a logical, unassailable bridge. It changes the dynamic entirely.
You are basically saying, I am the expert, I see your problem, and here is exactly how we solve it.
Yes, that confident, straightforward recommendation closes far more consultations than any detailed price list ever could. It establishes undeniable trust.
And this directly connects to Principle 5 from the masterclass. Write like a human, not like a brochure. Because that in-person consultation where you are speaking directly and confidently needs to match your written communication.
Which it rarely does in most clinics.
Exactly. Right now, most clinics write their materials for themselves, not for the patient. They list out heavy clinical protocols, they use Latin anatomical terms, and they think they're doing a great job because the information is technically accurate. But to the patient, it's almost entirely useless.
Now, I know what clinic owners are thinking. I have to include those medical terms for compliance. I have a medical liability to list out the side effects.
And that is a very real, valid constraint. You absolutely have legal standards to meet.
But Dr. Masudi makes a crucial distinction here. There is a massive difference between the legal consent waiver a patient signs on a clipboard and the conversational communication you send them on WhatsApp or email 48 hours later.
Yes, your marketing materials and your patient check-ins are not legal waivers. Clarity is a form of confidence.
The source gives a very concrete example of this. Think about the vague corporate phrase every clinic uses on their website. Our team is available to assist.
That means absolutely nothing to a worried patient who is icing their face at 9 o'clock at night.
Exactly. Contrast that with a highly specific, reassuring promise written like a human. If you notice X, message us at this number and we will reply within 2 hours.
That is so much better. It takes away the panic.
It comes down to saying less, saying it plainly, and being highly specific. Remove the technical words from your hospitality touch.
Let's shift gears slightly and talk about what happens after the patient leaves, which brings us to principle build small habits. We were talking about patient retention and designing loyalty.
Loyalty isn't accidental.
Right. A A lot of clinics think loyalty is bought with a punch card where you get the 10th treatment free, but loyalty is designed. The most effective way to keep your patients coming back isn't a loyalty card or a generic holiday discount email.
It's a genuine, specific message sent exactly 48 hours post-treatment to check on them.
Why 48 hours specifically?
Because clinically, that is often when swelling or bruising peaks. And psychologically, that is exactly when post-procedure anxiety hits its highest point. If your clinic reaches out with a kind note right at that 48-hour mark, just to ask how the recovery is going, you are intercepting their anxiety.
That is brilliant. That patient is never going to forget you. It turns going to the clinic into a routine. You map out the moments they're most likely wondering if they're okay, and you build a touch point for that exact moment.
And yet we need to balance this pursuit of an easy experience, because Principle 4 warns us that making everything effortless isn't always the right move.
Wait, really? After we just spent all this time talking about removing all the annoyances and friction?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we have to understand the profound value of good friction.
Good friction. Explain that.
Good friction is any effort required from the patient that actively improves their experience and signals premium quality. Think of a Michelin star restaurant. You often have to book months in advance, pay a reservation deposit, and adhere to a dress code.
Right, that friction doesn't turn you away. It elevates the perceived value of the meal.
Exactly. In a clinic setting, some effort from the patient actually signals premium quality. A short pre-consultation questionnaire about their specific goals, or a brief preparation video they have to watch before arriving. This tells the patient that the clinic takes things seriously.
I see the distinction. When patients invest a little bit of their own time and energy before they even walk through the doors, they show up more engaged. They follow aftercare more carefully because they've bought into the process from the beginning.
So the rule of thumb provided by Dr. Masudi is this: keep the steps that serve the patient and actively improve the appointment. Cut the steps that only exist because that is how it has always been done.
Like redundant paperwork. Cut it all. Which perfectly sets us up to discuss the biggest danger facing your clinic right now, the interchangeability trap. Let's set the scene of a typical premium clinic today. Good doctors, nice equipment, beautiful space, active Instagram.
The problem. That describes every well-funded clinic.
Yes. It makes clinics entirely interchangeable, forcing patients to choose based on Google rankings rather than brand loyalty.
This raises an important question. How do you stop being just another option?
So what does this all mean? How do we break out of this trap?
You design an experience so entirely different that a patient tells their friends, it just felt completely different from everywhere else I've tried. Competitors can copy your treatment menu tomorrow. They cannot copy an experience patients have already lived.
To achieve that, Dr. Masudi provides a concrete redesign plan for the listener. First, redesign your journey. Map it from the first click to the 6-month mark.
Lead those consultations with recommendations, just like we discussed. And to leave you with a final lingering thought experiment drawn straight from the masterclass to mull over. Imagine your most demanding patient, the one with the absolute highest expectations and the most friends to refer.
We all have one in mind.
Exactly. If she described her experience at your clinic to a colleague today, what would she say? If her answer does not explicitly include the words easy, clear, or I always knew what to expect, then you now know exactly where your work needs to start.
That is the perfect place to leave it. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Now go audit your patient journey.